Gotta work out every day. Welcome back, my little subscribers. Today I'm talking about the Sigma 70-200. It is finally here. Does it meet the hype? Does it hit the marks after waiting for it for many years? Let's talk about it. So we finally have a 70-200 alternative to the G Master. Yes, we've got the Tamron with a 70-180, but in terms of what we consider a 70-200 to be in terms of the build quality, the optical stabilization, just the sturdiness, the internal zooming, we only had the Sony option. And now we finally have Sigma coming out with their version of this. This is a long time wait for this lens. I'm sure that there was some pushback, maybe from Sony, I don't know, to just let them release theirs first and then this one come out last as an option, a budget option. So this is our truly first heavy duty, stabilized, internal zooming 70-200 option. And it's at a great price, in my opinion. It is way less than the G Master. It is now comparable to the G Master version 1, but as you know, a lot of people don't like that one for different reasons. This one reminds me a lot of when they released this very similar looking lens for the Canon EF system. And I'm talking maybe 4-5 years ago, I think. I remember trying it out on the newly released EOS R, and I love that lens. Super detailed, super sharp, great bokeh. I took one of my favorite pictures that I printed on a canvas of two tigers at a little pond at the zoo. Amazing, amazing quality. That was shot from really far away at 200 millimeters, and I was still able to crop in a fairly amount of detail to frame it the way I wanted, and then print 40 by 40 on a canvas print. So that's a testament to the sensor, of course, that Canon R, I think it's a 30 megapixel, and the Sigma being just really good at preserving details, even when you crop in a lot. Up front, what do I like about this lens? One, it is not as heavy as I expected it to be. I have never used the G Master version of these. I know 70-200s are in general very heavy, but I took off the tripod mount and just holding it, it feels fair. It's not too heavy, it's not light, obviously. It's long because of the internal zooming, but overall, I don't think it's too heavy. I think they did a good job in balancing the materials. If you look up information on the lens, you'll find out it's like magnesium, and then we've got like composite materials. Like they broke up the way the materials are used to benefit in making this lens lighter than it could have been had it been all fully magnesium. What else do I like? This thing feels great in the hands. The matting texture, whatever they do to these lenses, feels great. Very professional feeling. All the buttons are clicky. Moving from portrait to landscape is very easy. Removing the tripod mount I wish was a little bit easier. I literally had to unscrew it, which is not a big deal because I don't use it a lot, but I would want to be able to just remove it easier, and that's not the case. After taking just a couple of test shots and some sample videos, I still think this retains the same qualities that I loved from the original version for Canon that hadn't quite made it to Sony yet. So we've got a very sharp image, very detailed, love the contrast. The bokeh out of focus areas look amazing. It's weather sealed, it has image stabilization. The image stabilization is awesome. Like a lot of Sony cameras, well, all the Sony cameras have internal stabilization, but I had forgotten how great it is to combine both, having OSS and in-body. And I was able to handhold the 70-200 in very, very low light at crazy low shutter speeds and still get a sharp image full of detail with a low ISO. So I think more lenses in the Sony lineup should include stabilization. Yes, we've got it in the body, but if we can combine them, it's such a crazy difference holding 200 millimeters with those combined stabilizations at very low shutter speed. It's really amazing to be able to get shots like that. And I feel like that's something that obviously different stabilizations are, like, depending on the brand, will vary. This one's very well done in my opinion. I even did some hand holding for some short video clips. I was very happy. Like, I could add an additional level of stabilization afterwards in post-production, but in taking it to the zoo, I got some shots. It was raining a lot, by the way. I had to hold the umbrella with one hand, hold the camera and the lens with the other, and shot little clips of video of the burrowing owl, a very small owl, looks funny. They came out great. And that was with one hand. So had I been holding it properly, that would have been even more smoother. So I really love this lens so far. There's a lot of great qualities. So now let's talk about the negatives, and we have to because they're there. But in my opinion, and this is not because obviously I'm not sponsored, you can see how many subscribers, like I'm not up there yet. I want to be. I want to get these lenses for free. Come on. The cons to this lens are not terrible, but they will annoy the hell out of you. One of them you've been hearing a lot. The zoom ring is in the wrong place. It is at the very front where you're forced to extend your arm when you're using it. So basically, naturally, you want to zoom here where the aperture ring is, but they did not put it there. They put it, I'm gonna get to my second gripe right now. They put it at the front. So after getting used to it, like you'll get used to it, but it's not intuitive that you need to do this because I want to balance the weight and hold here where the focusing ring is at. So I don't know why they did this. I think it's a mistake. They should have thought about it more. There's no other zoom lens where this is going on in the Sony lineup. And previous lenses that they've made, 24-70, don't have that. So I don't understand what went wrong here with these engineers, but wrong placement. Second thing, you saw me unscrewing this thing. This lens hood, when you're putting it away, let's say I want to shoot without the lens hood, it's in the way of the zoom ring. On other lenses, I could just put the lens hood on and still have the zooming capability. But because of this mistake, I now have to take it off, find a spot in my bag, and if I didn't bring a bag, I'm basically gonna just throw this somewhere, hopefully not lose it, because I'm being blocked from using the zoom ring. In addition to that, you saw me screwing it. It is not fast. So if I was in a resting mode, and all of a sudden I see something and I want to get the shot and I'm not prepared early enough, I'm gonna have to do this like a crazy maniac, unscrewing this thing to toss it somewhere, take the shot, and then go find it. So I wish they would have just made a traditional hood. I don't know if they had some issues with their engineering. I don't know what happened. This makes no sense. And it's the same thing when you're putting it on, it screws. So it's not instant. They could have just made a locking one like everyone else does. This is a bummer. But I ended up leaving it in the bag, and then sometimes I wanted it, sometimes I didn't. It just depends. This is gonna be an issue. It's an annoying one. It's not an image quality one. So I still think it's okay. I'm gonna work around it, but it is an annoying issue. And a lot of people have talked about it, but okay, let's move on from that because that's the piece that I really wanted to highlight. Other than that, you've got tons of button options. It feels great in the hand. It's super, in terms of a 70-200, it is very lightweight. So 77 filter thread, pretty standard. The fact that it's internal zoom, and we don't have a lot of those in the Sony lineup anymore, or haven't had them at all, aside from the 70-200. it makes a big difference in terms of feeling trusting of the equipment, shooting in different environments. So I'm gonna do a lot more testing. Here I have it with the A7R5, which is a beast combination. I took an incredible shot, was able to close in on it, some cropping. You don't always have to crop, but you can essentially make this feel like a 400 to 500 millimeter because of how good the quality is. And cropping, like you don't lose the details with this camera combined with this lens. So it's a winner for me as my first impression. If they release a teleconverter, I would be very interested in trying that out. Maybe they might be holding back on that for now, but maybe at some point they'll make it because it makes sense to do with this one. Hoping in the future, maybe there's a third party, or if Sigma makes a redesigned one. I feel like it makes sense to re-release and sell the hood separate so that we don't have this issue. I think that would get resolved. I would be happier. A lot of people would be happier to just be able to go hack some quarter turn, take it off, quarter turn, back on, versus the screwing. But those are my first impressions. I'll put some of my video clips and photos. I haven't taken too many, but just first impressions, I'm really happy with this. I will be back with more and more photos, tons of video. I really want to test this thoroughly because the stabilization is something I'm excited about. You don't need to take a tripod or like a gimbal because you have two great stabilizations in this combination here. At 70, they're promising 7.5 stops, plus the 8 that this camera has. I don't know what the math is there, but I need to do more testing of that. At 200, the lens alone is promising 5. Camera has 8. I don't know. We got to test this out to see how good this actually is. But in the meantime, wanted to share my impressions. I think it's worth it. It was worth the wait. I mean, they could have released it sooner, but whatever. I've used the Tamron. I have not used the second version of the 70-180. It feels more solid. Like I dropped my Tamron by accident once from maybe 2 feet high, and unfortunately it fell mount downwards and the mount actually crushed inward to the lens body. So the fact that it broke that easy did concern me in real world use, that it could happen by accident. So the fact that this is more solid, internal, like I feel like it's more reliable product versus what the Tamron's offering. More on this lens later. Thank you for watching.